The best joke in TV history is when Hank Hill struggles to remove the cap on a WD-40 and unholsters a second, smaller can of WD-40 to lubricate it. It's well known that big lubricant will make bottles of WD-40 in infinitely increasing sizes, so this is actually necessary information for anybody who's serious about lube. Hi again, fellas, and that is the top post of all time in a subreddit I adore, r/redneck engineering. I'm gonna be honest, the rest of the subreddit isn't like that post at all, because all the other stuff there is actually real. Like, here's a pair of pliers with text in German on them that says something like emergency stop, and it's just rigged up to cut the wires of whatever machine might be killing someone when you gotta push down on these. If I had to save my buddy's life with these things, it'd probably take a few tries because closing pliers is hard. The whole subreddit is people just showcasing their homemade contraptions of various levels of safety. The tamest ones are just really scuffed ways of solving minor issues around the house, and on the other end of the Rhonda spectrum are things that are a clear and present danger to the inventor and the people around the invention. If you enjoy this video, there will be this big card at the end that takes you to another like it, and less than 20% of y'all are subscribed with notifications on. You want to do it so bad so you never miss an upload. Damn, that's a clean duct tape paint job. The emojis used are face palming and deadpanning at the camera, but listen here, you little emoji dweebs, you're wrong, and this is actually freaking sick. When you stare at this image, tell me it didn't take you at least a second to notice that it's a bunch of tape on a car and not paint. At least whoever put this together really tried. Those tape lines are straighter than I've ever been. Let's be real, a matte finish on a car looks sick, and this is one of the cheapest ways to get one. For Christ's sake, the roll of duct tape is the national mascot of this subreddit. This is what it's all about, baby. User the Fipsy, I think, just made me an accessory to fraud. Don't mind me, just increasing the value of my car. If you can't drive because you're under the age of 12 or gay, both very common in Kwite viewers, this is an odometer, which is the thing in a car that measures how many miles it's traveled. The more miles, the more a car's been used, so less of them means a less used car. I saw them rewind in one of those things in Ferris Bueller when I was a kid and had no idea how real that was, and I'm glad that this Reddit user gave me a demonstration. But Jesus Christ, man, if you try to sell that thing, is this just not doing a little bit of self-incrimination for fun? I went scrolling through Fipsy's post history, and I don't think this is fake. This guy was repurposing vape batteries to make an RC car charge faster. He is really about this shit. A whole load of Amish guys moving a barn. I get so worried seeing shit like this, because when you got so many dudes doing a thing, human error is a pretty safe thing to bet on. I've learned this from being directly told, but also by forgetting and being reminded when picking up heavy shit, always lift with your legs, not your back. And as much as I want to believe all the guys in this gaggles were good about that, I know at least one dude bent down to lift this instead of squatting and really fucked some shit up at his shoulder blades that is screaming at him. But he just doesn't want to embarrass himself by tapping out, or he literally can't get out because they're being crowd crushed by all the other Amish fellas next to him. Steering wheel broke, but I needed to finish the yard. Thankfully, I know how to drive a stick. In subreddits like these, on posts like this, when I see a Reddit user has deleted their account, to me, it's like if you burned all of Da Vinci's works before we got to read them. Dog, stick steering guy. If somehow you see this, you've got some interesting lobes in that brain of yours. And it's just a shame we won't get to see what they cook up anymore. The world is worse off without getting to see what fuck shit you're doing. Found this fork in my brother's house and asked him why he had done it. Then he ran upstairs to grab his iPad. The utility of this is immediately obvious, and since I have a #1 brain that can see a full apple in there, I can imagine the exact circumstances this was made in. This dude was definitely hungry as shit, looking for a YouTube video to watch while eating, as is human nature, but he was probably sick of having to lay his iPad flat down and nerd neck to view it. But suddenly, light bulb moment. He sticks the fork he's using in his teeth and just bends it with complete precision using his jawline. Seriously, the folds on this fork are so exact and small without somehow breaking the prongs. I have no idea how he pulled this off without chipping a tooth or at least breaking a few other forks first. What are you going so slow on the engine for, man? Step on that shit. That wasn't funny, I'm sorry. Let's not lie, this is so far away from the actual premise of the subreddit. The most practical use of this I can think of is if you were just trying to make the shittiest, most annoying, slowest moving version of those hotel delivery robots. It's a built-in feature that most of your food won't make it to you, and you gotta spelunk in the hotel hallways to find where this robot dropped your meal. I guess it could be a Halloween decoration too. It is fitting for this time of year, but I like my idea more. If I upload this after October over. That joke is just in the dirt. Echo Visions, the guy who shared this devil device with my eyeballs, said, "Keep this thing away from me for the love of God." Listen, God's love was not in the room while this thing was conceived. We're talking like Antichrist circumstances of birth. Feast your eyes. My brother's gaming chair. And using duct tape, God bless that miracle material, this person's brother strapped a pillow down to a wooden chair like he's holding it hostage. This is the type of shit I wish I had the foresight for as a 12-year-old. My gaming chair was also just an extra wooden one laying around the house, but I had never thought to make it more comfortable. I just kind of accepted that this thing was going to dig right into my tailbone for the rest of my formative years. I've got a chair over here that's actually meant to be sat in these days, but back issues compound. Whoever taped a pillow to the chair is probably going to age with less spinal issues than me because they thought to even try to make a chair more comfortable to use as a kid. Also, when you're out on the road, just remember there's a guy driving out there with chandeliers as headlamps. That's gotta kill his visibility. Both because the lights are high up and also because they're fucking chandeliers. Even still, probably safer for other people than driving a Ford F-150. Found at a laundromat in Knoxville, Tennessee. Yes, you can still press the buttons. You're a long way from home, Noah from New Jersey. And oh my god, they done put the damn TV remote in the goddamn chastity cage. I like to imagine the remote itself is actually alive and is in an intentional prison. Like it got up to naughty shit like playing adult videos on the TV. But unfortunately, the more likely option is a person did that nasty shit, which is a lot more boring. Alternatively, they did some nasty shit to that remote. I kind of want to see the results of shining a black light on it, but a bigger, more cowardly part of me is glad I will never get to. I think this qualifies, and it's just a truck bed someone put in their back porch to use like a hot tub. I might have mentioned this in a video before, but I have been in the back of a truck that someone just threw a tarp over and turned into like a shitty little swimming pool, and yeah, it was fucking awesome. It's one of those small joys in life that the European mind just cannot comprehend because it's a direct result of us turning America into a car-centric purgatory. One of the few good things that came from making this really unique layer of hell for ourselves is that there are enough trucks per capita for people doing shit like making a pool out of them to advance in complexity very quickly. We are at the front of this field in the United States. Next, we have a quick personal anecdote from user Mitnemchef. Holy shit, my humor hasn't advanced since I was 16. I work at a warehouse in Sweden, and recently they halved the speed of all forklifts for safety reasons. I thought they put some limiter in the software, but nope, they found a far smarter solution. It's literally just bolted on the floor. Okay, I'm willing to bet all those forklifts aren't even all consistently castrated. If you tested the lifts one by one, you could probably figure out which has managed to keep more of its dignity and can go, I don't know, 1 kilometer an hour faster than the others. And I mean, the real thrill with slamming the gas is the speed up. Like on the highway, I slam on my gas pedal to reach the speed limit as quickly as I can, but I never go any higher. That would be dangerous. The measuring cup broke, so I welded it back together with a Bic lighter and a butter knife. Are the measurements even accurate anymore? Like sure, it'd probably only be off by like a fraction of a fraction, but if you're making a really, really big cake, that's gonna add up over time. Also, inhaling fumes from burning plastic probably gives you one of the most unique highs experienced by man. I couldn't find my headphones and it's late at night. Solution: get a stethoscope and put it up to the speaker with the computer on low volume. Listen, I enjoy time snuggled in my bed with the phone as much as the next guy. It's human nature. But at what point do you decide to just go to bed? Do you need to watch Markiplier Let's Plays or whatever the fuck that pad? I don't know, just cut your losses and look in the morning if you gotta do all this shit. If I can't find my headphones, what makes you think I'm going to find a stethoscope just lying around? That reply makes a great point. OP, do you live in like a pediatrician's office or a forensic morgue maybe? How on earth is a stethoscope in your daily life at home enough that you think of it as an option to replace your headphones? Texas plumber sues car dealer after his truck ends up on Syria's front lines. I remember when this story first made the rounds, I didn't think about it beyond, lol, that truck with an MG on the back says Mark 1 Plumbing. But I really gotta wonder if that ended up getting the dude more business because of how many people saw it, or if people genuinely thought he was like ISIS affiliated. When you need a permit to build a deck, but not to store a boat. The amount of boats I've seen on this subreddit used for something other than boat stuff is kind of forming a pattern in my brain. If you aren't in the tax bracket that even gets to consider owning a ship, me too, nice to meet you. Boats are probably some of the worst assets you can own because that shit will never increase in price. There's like not even a chance it'll become a classic like a car could. It just wears away being on the water, collecting barnacles on the bottom and shit, and it just gets torn apart, both in scrap metal and in speculative value. So folks finding a way to turn them into little porches that give their house some character is really nice, I think. You're only gonna get so much use out of those things on the seas anyway, so might as well double dip. I thought my neighbor was logging off life at first, but he's targeting voles instead. If he was doing this to people, this would violate the Geneva Conventions. This is going to be those animals' first experience with trench warfare, just shoving chemical weapons through those foxholes to flush them out, except they won't ever leave again. This makes me think of those videos of dudes just pouring molten aluminum inside anthills, just casing those things alive. Then when it's gotten through the whole tunnel system, they pull it out of the ground and it looks like a sick art piece. My wife called her landlord because the air conditioner was so loud we couldn't use the backyard. He was here for 2 minutes and texted it was fixed. I went outside and this is what he did. Rock, ronk! You are giving your rent money to a caveman, like you're paying off a Neanderthal's mortgage. Back when I was a kid in 20,000 BC, we used rocks like leeches, in that they were our solution for everything. Broken kneecap, remove the rest of the leg with a rock. Big fire, hit it with a rock. My wife cheated on me, hit it with a rock. It might seem simple, but those were the tools we had, and they worked. One of man's greatest evolutionary advantages is just being able to throw the damn things. You'll notice how long these strategies have lasted throughout history when you read about stoning in the Bible. Hell, even getting stoned in the modern day. Pre-industrial hicks were something else. Anyways, that's all I got. The card I mentioned should be on screen. This has been Kwite, and I just...